My parents didn't whisper when they did it. That was the part that stung the most. They walked me straight past the decorated archway, past the balloons spelling my sister's name, past the tables covered in gold-rimmed plates and centerpieces full of white roses. And they stopped beside the gift table. The gift table. The place where toddlers wiped their frosting fingers, where purses got tossed carelessly, where unopened Amazon boxes waited like clutter. My seat, a lone metal folding chair, sat tucked between a pile of presents and a stack of paper napkins. Mom smiled like she'd done me a favor. "Sit here, sweetheart. Keep an eye on the gifts." As if I were party staff. As if I were responsible for guarding everyone else's generosity. As if this wasn't my family. The DJ's speakers pulsed softly in the background, the smell of barbecue smoke drifting from the backyard grill. Children screamed and ran in circles, people laughed loudly, champagne flutes clinked. And I sat among boxes wrapped in pastel paper. My sister, glowing like a curated centerpiece, walked by with a group of friends trailing behind her. Her dress sparkled under the string lights. She didn't even lower her voice. "Rachel doesn't mind sitting there," she said lightly. "She's not exactly successful enough to be at the main tables." The words didn't stab. They settled. Like dust. Like the kind of truth she had believed her whole life. One of her friends glanced at me with a mix of pity and superiority, the way people glance at someone they assume has already accepted their rank in the world. I didn't flinch. Not because it didn't hurt, but because pain had become familiar wallpaper in this family. My sister always took center stage. She had the spotlight, the applause, the attention, the carefully crafted praise. My role had always been to clap from the edges. "My name is Rachel Morgan. I'm 30 years old, and at my sister's birthday, my parents seated me beside the gift table like a servant, completely unaware of the truth I carried quietly in my pocket. If this resonates with you, share your thoughts. Your voice matters more than you know." I smoothed the hem of my dress, trying to ignore how the metal chair dug into my legs. The table beside me smelled faintly of tape, cardboard, and a candle someone had blown out too close to the pile. My hands folded, unfolded, folded again. A drifting memory surfaced. I was 9, sitting on the bleachers after my school talent show. I'd sung my heart out. Mom walked straight past me, straight to my sister holding her participation ribbon. "She has real potential," she whispered to Dad. I sat quietly, pretending not to hear. I had grown used to that sound, recognition bypassing me. Now, decades later, nothing had changed. Across the backyard, I watched the tables fill with people who had known me my entire life, and yet somehow had never seen me. My father took his seat near the front, laughing and pointing out decorations he took credit for but didn't actually hang. My mother flitted between guests, praising her own hosting skills while ignoring my empty plate. My sister approached again, this time alone. Her perfume, a thick floral scent, hit me before her voice did. "You're being dramatic," she said as she adjusted a bow on one of her gifts. "There weren't enough seats. And besides, you're comfortable here." I looked up. "Comfortable? Yes," she said breezily. "You're not great at socializing with my friends. Everyone important is at the front." A small laugh escaped me, the sound dry, almost brittle. "Everyone important?" He shrugged. "Just being practical." Practical. That word echoed through my ribcage like a familiar bruise. I glanced at the main tables. The linen tablecloths, the catered meal trays, the clusters of people sipping champagne. Then I looked back at my lonely chair beside the pile of gifts. "Rachel," she added, lowering her voice, "don't make this into something it's not." But it was something. And she knew it. She walked away before I could answer. I sat still for a long moment, the chatter of the party blending into a low, blurred hum. My mother's laughter floated across the yard like bright ribbon, always wrapping the people she favored. My phone vibrated in my palm. A message notification. Just one line from my financial advisor. Transfer of $6.1 million confirmed. Congratulations. The numbers glowed on the screen, sharp and undeniable. The life I had built, quietly, consistently, without applause, looked back at me. I had spent years investing, working, saving, declining luxuries, building my own company brick by unseen brick. My family never asked what I did. They assumed I was floating somewhere beneath their world, not above it. I slipped the phone into my lap. The metal chair no longer felt cold. A strange calm settled over me. The kind of calm you feel just before reshaping the air in a room. I opened my messages and typed a single text to the event coordinator I had on quiet standby. $6.1M. Cancel everything. Right now. 3 dots appeared. Then one reply. On it. I stood up slowly, leaving the folding chair behind. The gift table looked suddenly small, like a place I had outgrown long ago but hadn't noticed until this moment. As I stepped forward, I felt eyes begin to follow me, not out of admiration but confusion. Something in my expression must have changed. My sister noticed first. Rachel, what are you doing? Her voice trembled just faintly. I didn't answer. Not yet. My mother approached, carrying a plate of appetizers she didn't intend to give me. Sweetheart, is something wrong? For the first time in years I felt the balance shift. Not in volume. Not in anger. In certainty. I looked at them. The family who had seated me beside the gifts. The family who believed I was small. The family who didn't know that quiet people often hold the loudest truths. A speaker popped somewhere behind us, the DJ turning down the music as someone whispered urgently into his ear. The event coordinator walked onto the patio, scanning the yard for me. It was time. I stepped away from the gift table and finally said, actually yes. Something is very wrong. My sister's smile faltered. My mother's gaze sharpened. My father frowned from across the yard. The lights above us flickered, once, twice as the DJ killed the playlist. 30 minutes. That's all it would take for everything they assumed about me to collapse. In real time. And I was ready. The music cut out completely. A hush moved across the backyard. The kind that spreads not because people stop talking but because they feel something is about to happen. Glasses slipped from hands. Conversations halted mid-sentence. Even the children slowed. My mother stepped closer. Rachel, she whispered, whatever this is, don't make a scene. A scene. That's what she feared. Not the truth. Not the harm. Just the optics. I looked at her gently, almost sympathetically. I'm not making a scene, I said softly. I'm ending one. The event coordinator reached me, slightly breathless. Everything's in motion. Vendors notified. Transport confirmed. My mother blinked rapidly. What transport? Before I could answer, a white truck rolled up to the backyard fence. Then another. And another. 3 total. Clean, quiet, efficient. My sister's face drained of color. Rachel, what did you do? I didn't raise my voice. I didn't gloat. I simply let the truth arrive. I canceled the party. Mom shook her head as if trying to dislodge reality. You canceled? Why? Everything is already set. People are here. Your sister worked so hard. My father approached now, irritation rising in his throat like heat. Rachel, you can't just interrupt someone else's birthday. I smiled faintly. I'm not interrupting. I'm undoing. He stepped toward me, lowering his voice. These people came to celebrate your sister. Not you, Rachel. Not everything is about you. That line. That familiar dismissal. It hit like a memory. My 6th grade graduation. My mother twisting my hair and saying, try not to cry in photos. Your sister's the emotional one. My high school awards ceremony. Dad whispering, let your sister stand in the middle. She photographs better. My college acceptance letter. Mom saying, that's nice, but your sister just got into a major university. Be supportive. Every time I rose, they pushed me sideways. But today, sidelines were no longer my seat. My sister finally found her voice. Rachel, what exactly did you cancel? I looked her in the eyes. All of it. The DJ unplugged his board. The balloon arch started descending as 2 workers untied it from the stakes. Caterers began closing the lids on the food trays, their practiced efficiency cutting through the rising confusion. My mother gasped. What are you doing? Stop. We paid for this. You didn't, I said. My father stiffened. What's that supposed to mean? I pulled out my phone and opened the receipts. Clean digital confirmations, time-stamped, undeniably real. I paid for everything. My sister's lips parted. No, you didn't. We all discussed this. Mom paid for decorations, Dad paid for catering, I paid for the DJ. You paid deposits, I corrected. Small ones. But when your important guests list doubled, The vendors renegotiated. The party ballooned to triple the cost. Dad's eyes narrowed. What are you talking about? I met his gaze steadily. None of you noticed the updated contracts because none of you read them. I did. And when you refused to increase your budgets, I covered the rest. The truth landed like a tremor moving under the grass. $6.1 million wasn't a flex. It was a reminder. I wasn't small. I wasn't struggling. I wasn't the girl they thought needed the seat next to the gift table. My sister's voice shook. Why would you pay for all this? Because, I said gently, you were all so busy deciding where I belonged. You never asked what I could afford. A quiet memory surfaced. My 20s spent building my startup in a cramped apartment, eating noodles while my parents paid for my sister's dance lessons, for her internships, for her study abroad trip. They never asked if I needed help. They assumed I didn't deserve it. I took a slow breath. Today you seated me beside the gifts. Like staff. Like a placeholder. But you did it at a party I paid for. The murmurs around us quieted again. My mother pressed a hand to her chest. I didn't know. You didn't want to know, I corrected softly. She swallowed hard. That isn't fair. You should have told us sooner. I tried, I said. But every time I talked about work, you changed the subject to your favorite child. My sister flinched. I didn't mean to make you feel less. Yes, I said quietly. You did. But feelings aren't the only issue. Respect is. My father finally asked the question simmering beneath his anger. What was the text? The one that canceled everything. I opened the message thread and held the screen up so they could see. $6.1M. Cancel everything. Right now. My sister stared at the number as if it were written in a foreign language. How? She whispered. I built something, I said simply. While you all assumed I was drifting. Mom shook her head, tears filling her eyes now. You're successful? Really successful? And you didn't tell us. You didn't ask, I replied. Workers wheeled the cake table toward the exit. Someone folded up the rented chairs. The entire party unraveled around us, quietly, efficiently, beautifully. A reflection of my own quiet power. My sister stepped closer, her voice trembling. Rachel, is this revenge? No, I said. It's visibility. She blinked. What does that mean? It means I'm done being invisible. The truth settled over her shoulders like weight she'd never carried before. She whispered, What do you want us to do? I paused. Not because I didn't know, but because I wanted the moment to breathe. I want this family, I said, to stop seating me in the shadows of my own life. My mother's tears spilled softly. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I didn't see what I was doing. I know, I said gently. But now you do. My father's face cracked. The way pride weakens when confronted with reality. What happens now? He asked quietly. I looked around at the dismantled party, the emptying tables, the soft lights dimming in the late afternoon sun. Now, I said, we start over. My sister nodded slowly. How? By treating me, I whispered, like I matter. The final vendor closed his van door. The last balloon drifted away. The yard, once filled with noise and celebration, settled into something quieter, something truer. My mother stepped forward and hugged me. Not tightly. Not desperately. But carefully, like someone trying not to break what they had once mishandled. My sister joined, her tears warm against my shoulder. It's okay, I whispered, more to myself than to them. If you've lived anything like this, tell your story. And don't forget to subscribe. As the sun dipped, painting the sky in amber, a strange peace washed over me. Today they finally saw me. Not as the girl by the gift table. Not as the family afterthought. But as what I had been all along. A woman capable of reshaping her own life. And in that quiet, steadied moment, I understood something. Sometimes respect arrives after truth.